Welcome to Games Revealed. I'm James, and we're going to be going over some Steam Deck reviews, specifically 4 of them, because there's a lot more than 4, but that's about how far I could get before it became redundant and felt samey. Now, that being said, there's rumors going around, and they're true, mixed reviews on the Steam Deck. That being said, everyone that reviewed it loved it. I don't know why some of them gave it pretty poor scores actually, and I'll have a verdict at the end of the video that I'll reveal who did and kind of like which publications did. Like, I'm only going to be covering PC Gamer, Verge, Polygon, and Tom's Hardware, which is kind of seems like a weird lineup, but they're the best I could find right now, in my opinion. If you know of anything better, leave a comment below with the review that you liked. Now, I've been waiting for the Steam Deck. Like, since it was launched or like announced, I've wanted this in my hands. I am so excited for it. I owned a Game Gear when I was a little kid, and I loved it. I loved it so much. I could play Batman on the go whenever my parents were taking me anywhere. I enjoyed it so much. And yes, there have been other systems that have come out before and since that have probably been better, like Nintendo Switch and all that. I always think of the Game Gear's form factor for some reason. It's so bulky. It ate through every single battery in like 20 minutes that you threw at it. But it was just so amazing for me. It was like a Sega in my hand, and the Steam Deck is drastically more than that. But the form factor reminds me of that, and it brings back flood of memories of just awesome gaming times. So before we get into it, let's hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, bash that bell with your crowbar if you're into this video or into my channel. So let's get into it now. Okay, so first up, I want to go over just a couple of pieces, pieces of different publications, like different reviews that kind of let what they were talking about and like the strengths and weaknesses. First up, I want to talk about the battery life, and it kind of correlates with your frames per second, partially because you got to do the balancing act. If you're looking for a 5-hour play session, it all depends on what game you're going to play, and that's unfortunate. I feel like with other devices like this, the Switch, it's not too bad based on the game. It's fairly optimized for the battery life. That being said, I've had games where it definitely drained the battery more than others on the Switch. It's just, it felt more balanced. With this, coming out of it, depending on the reviewer too. So that's the part about all this, reading the different reviews. I kind of want to call BS on a lot of it, in the sense of like, I think some of the reviews, like points in the reviews, maybe were done before patches from Valve, and that it's not really a knock against them. It's just maybe they should have waited until the Steam Deck was out to review it to have a more complete picture of what we're getting, because they had 2 weeks with the Steam Deck. Super jealous, really want one. They had 2 weeks though, and in those 2 weeks, they were almost getting daily updates. And so with that, I think some of the reviewers hit certain things early on, and others hit the same thing later on. And I can really tell in the reviews that one would say, hey, this works. The other one would say, this doesn't work. And the device is so samey, they're the same. They come from the same I'm assuming they're coming from like the same the release version, right? And so I bet you it was more on the software side. So software is going to fix most of the issues that I read about today. Software updates are going to be the key to making this the perfect device, and I still think for what you're getting with it, it is the perfect device for most people. And I'll leave at the very end like who I recommend this to and who I don't. Yeah, let's get into the battery life a little bit more on this. So God of War would chew through the battery at 83 minutes, but that was if you didn't lock it to 30 FPS. And that being said, you can lock it at 60, 30. I don't know if you can lock it at any other intervals, maybe 45, but you can lock it, I know, for 60 to 30. And what locking does is essentially just saves you battery life and also prevents like really like smooth to very degraded performance. So if you're having a lot of like, it's really fast, but then it degrades really quickly, that could help by going to 30. I don't usually play around with those types of settings, so I don't know. But if you lock it at 30, then you get 200 minutes as opposed to 83 minutes. So that's a very big difference. And I don't think it's a surprise. Like, I think some people are upset that it can only do 60. I think you're going to be gaming at 30 to 45 frames per second most of the time on this. Anything above that, you're just going to drain your battery. That being said, you know, there's emulation, there's the emulated games and all that will be able to play at much higher and drain your battery less, but do those really matter at 60? And I don't even think the Switch can do like above 30. So if you're portable, if you're gaming on the go, your best options still are 30 frames per second, unless you get a really expensive, beefy laptop. This is your best option. Just sorry. If you don't like that it can't do more than 30 in a very consistent manner, like it can, you just shouldn't, unless you don't care about your battery life, then I don't know what you're doing wanting to get a Steam Deck. I mean, one day we're going to get there, and let's hope that we get there one day, but I just see a lot of complaining about that. There's really nothing that you can do about it right now unless you plug your device in and play with it plugged in, which nothing wrong with that. You can even do that in bed. It's just, you know, be wary of that. If you have it plugged in, you're going to get better performance. Not that it like, because it's plugged in, it gets better performance. You can always run it at the highest and not expect drainage from your battery. So, God of War, I thought that was pretty decent. 200 minutes is not bad. Locked at, I believe, medium settings. Deathloop does not look like it runs very well. It drains the battery really, like, quite a bit. It doesn't run very well, but I haven't played much Deathloop, so that one doesn't really matter to me, I guess. I should care more, I guess. But GTA 5 will run at 60 frames per second on the highest settings, and you can still squeeze 2 hours of battery life out of that, which is crazy, because that game actually still looks pretty good, even though, you know, we're on our, 6th release of that game. So that one is pretty interesting. Yeah, so you can get 2 hours, and if you lock it at 30 frames, you get 214 minutes. And this is according to PC Gamer. A lot of my points are from PC Gamer. Once I started getting points from other places, it started to feel, like I said, either the same or very controversial points I'll point out. Guardians of the Galaxy on low settings with the display set to 50% brightness, and with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth off, it got 2 hours and 6 minutes, and then it hit 10%. Is what it said. That's not bad. So 2 hours, like I said, I'm good for a 2 hour session. I've always said that. I don't play games handheld on the go for more than probably 2 or 3 hours sessions. Even if I'm going to be on like an 8 hour plane ride, I'd probably only play for about 2 to 3 hours before I'd pick up something else, like a book or listen to something. For some reason, I can't focus that long, I guess. It depends. It's just on the go, I guess. So the remedy to that, you could always get a battery pack that can charge 45 watts devices. You could go that route. Great route. But yeah, I mean, you have options. You could always plug it into the wall if you need to, if you have options. But even if you're on the airplane, you have to be a little careful with the battery, because there are battery limits. Okay. So screen wise, I watched a video actually, and it wasn't Linus Tech Tips. I don't believe he mentioned that the screen felt washed out, but he did like the sound. Linus did, but it does sound like from some of the reviews that the screen can feel a little washed out. Like it's not very vibrant. It's not an OLED, by the way. It's an IPS LCD screen, and that's fine. And that technology has gotten better. And I wasn't expecting this to be like very vibrant, but it does sound like in some games it can hurt it. I've seen a bunch of footage now. I'm not convinced that I'm going to have issues with that. I do like a good, clean, crisp screen, but I also like my portability and being able to play a lot of the games I want on the go. The details can get a little lost on the smaller screen and even with the resolution. And I would say they went with the right resolution for the performances they were trying to hit. They could have eked out more, or they could have hit 1080 and then just downscaled it, I think. But maybe it would have cost more. I don't know. They could have still hit that optimized range of 800, but 1080 is kind of the sweet spot for like portable for me. And I actually think even a little higher, because I've noticed it on my phones alone, 1440 phones as opposed to 1080, I can tell a difference. Once we can get to the point where the Steam Deck 2 or 3 can do 1080 to 1440, that's the sweet spot for me. And I think it would fix some of those issues, but still it is the size of the screen too that does matter, but pixel count will really help with that. And I've noticed that. I have a 4K monitor right here. I've noticed between 1080, 4K, and 1440. So I will definitely say I think that will be fixed in the future with better screens. Controllers, everyone loves the controls. Everyone that I read about, they love the joystick. They love the joysticks, and actually the trackpads are just phenomenal. And the triggers are great. The back triggers, the back buttons are not easy to push accidentally, I guess. So if you're trying to push it, you can push it, but you're not going to accidentally hit those buttons. With that, I've heard the D-pad and just the regular, I don't even know what they're called, like A, B, X, Y, whatever. Those two buttons can be a little poor for like fighting games. Especially the D-pad just seems okay. I don't usually use the D-pad that much, but I agree, in a fighting game I definitely use it. But the buttons, I didn't hear any complaints except for during fights. So like the ABY stuff. Controls wise though, amazing. And even I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Linus or someone else on YouTube that was mentioning that they're the best you're going to get on handheld right now, and they might even rival. I think some of them even liked it more than console controls, which go you Steam, you really hit it out of the park for that, because if they do Steam Deck 2 just right, if they can get just that much more power into it, I think this will be a console destroyer. And I say that a little bit flippantly because people are also very, group based, and you got your Xbox people, you got your PlayStation people, they love their devices. We'll probably get some of them bleed over into this, but I think it will take a lot before those get destroyed. So like those groups will get destroyed and PlayStation and Xbox would go away. I definitely think this is the future, and it's going to be very fun future. I definitely am excited to be reporting on it. I'm not really a reporter, but like talking about it. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. Let's leave it at that. So cooling is actually great. It will get a little hot, but you never feel it. It's dispersed. So it always it's dispersed in the middle, but never hits your hands. And I believe that's just partially because there's no real components in the hand pieces, like any major heating components or components that cause heat, and it disperses through the back through its vent really well. I believe it has an intake from the top and outtake in the back. So yes, works great. Definitely no issues I would assume from cooling. I've read a comment about someone thinking that once you add a case to this, it's going to overheat it really quick. I don't think so. I think if the case is done right around the cooling, where it can the intake and the outtake are not covered, you're going to be just fine. I would be really shocked if it didn't work, just because that's where no other cooling, like, yes, you don't want to cover other parts and like put insulation on areas, but like I believe the majority of the cooling does happen through the fan and the intakes and outtakes. So noise, it is very noisy. The fans will even run when you're not playing anything right now. That can be optimized in future updates of software easily, actually. So, and I've witnessed this on laptops. I've witnessed this even maybe on my Switch. I feel like it doesn't run its fan as much now unless you're running something intensive. It can be managed, and I really believe this is one of those things that it can be fixed. But the whininess might not be able to be fixed unless you replace the fan yourself with hopefully an aftermarket. And we're for sure we're going to see an aftermarket of accessories and modifications for this device. So I definitely think that is going to be something that will be aftermarket fixed, but maybe even in the Steam Deck 2 fixed. I agree. I'm not a big fan of whiny. I do have noise canceling headphones. As long as it doesn't leak through that, I will not really care, because that's usually how I consume any media away from my computer, is with my headphones in. So not too concerned about that. Maybe the people in the room will be more concerned when I'm watching when they're watching TV and I'm playing the Steam Deck. But you know what? Screw it. You only live once, and I'm going to play the hell out of this thing. Okay. Audio. The audio speakers are mixed. Linus mentioned that he loved them before the embargo on the full reviews was lifted Friday. He loved them. I'm reading mixed, and I actually tend to believe these mixed ones more now. It's great for gaming, and I believe I'm not even an audiophile. Audio's not my main thing. I do love a good audio system and good 3D if I can detect, where things are coming from. That's about how I like it. That being said, not great for movies or maybe even music, but it's great. It's pretty good for gaming if you run the speakers on their own. I'm surprised they went into this much detail to have it work this great, because I think most people are going to have headphones on, because you just don't want to be a nuisance unless you're by yourself. Then that's I get it, but it should be just fine by yourself. But for anyone that really wants a good audio experience, use headphones. And I would say that with any handheld, it's really almost near impossible to get amazing sound quality out of small devices. So I think it potentially could get done with a lot of money, but I also think physics play into this a little bit. So yeah, just take that into account before you complain about the audio quality, I guess. The weight is 68% heavier than the Nintendo Switch and 38% more than the latest iPad. That is pretty heavy, but I don't think I'm gonna have issues. It just depends on who you are. I would assume too, like strength wise and all that. I'm not saying I'm strong or anything. I don't think I'd have issues just sitting here playing it. Maybe I will do the Switch above my heads, but even the Switch gets tiring after a little bit. It's just putting your hands above your head gets tiring. That will be a harder position, but PC Gamer makes a good point right here. It's the best thing you can do is to get like a pillow for your gaming sessions, like a nice pillow, so that you can, you don't crank your neck or whatever it is. Keep it happy. But yeah, he starts to feel a twinge of in his arms after 20 minutes of playing Resident Evil 2. So about 20 minutes playing it, held up. I get it. And I think in additional versions of like Steam Decks, like Steam Deck 2, 3, maybe we'll get a slimmed down version of this. But you got to remember, this is a PC in a box, and it's customized. It's at least repairable, so you can open it up and do all that. You can't really do that easily with any other handheld that I know of. So just take that into account with weight. I think it's nothing unexpected. Software. I've heard nothing but good things about the software on this, except for one review where they said it didn't work half the time, I believe. And yet everyone else loved it. Yes, there are pieces that don't work. And I can get why it's frustrating. Like Steam added, some would say too much, but that's what I love about Steam and Valve. I'm a power user. I want all those options, even if some of them are a little glitchy. I want to know that it's there and that they're going to fix it. And if it's there, I almost guarantee you, with how popular the Steam Deck is, Valve is going to do everything in their power to make sure this is the perfect device in 2 years. So I really don't think they're going to drop the ball on almost any of these pieces of software, because I can almost guarantee any of the software I'm seeing is fixable from a software engineering point of view. I'm a software engineer, if you don't know that. Yeah, things are fixable. Okay, so some of the reviews were saying it was better than consoles. The UI experience was better than consoles, and that's what the console essentially is a torn down PC to just be a gaming experience on your TV. It is supposed to be as easy as possible to pick up a controller and get into a game, and some of the reviewers actually liked it more than that. And we'll see. I need to try it for myself, but watching other people play it, I agree. But I like the Steam software, so I'm already kind of a sucker for it. It feels like a better version of Steam is what I've read about. A couple of highlights: it's incredibly powerful to configure, and that being said, like, you can bring up the performance benchmarks. So you can bring up benchmarks for any game, what the cores are doing, what memory's doing, what your frames per second are. Like, it has some pretty powerful tools, and I'm gonna say it's just never been done like this before, and Linus really touches on that. The benchmarking tools are so good, and that helps, especially for reviewers, to gauge how well Steam Deck 2 and 1 are. You can't really do that easily with PlayStation and Xbox. So that helps you tweak the game too. So if you want to tweak it yourself to hit a certain performance mark, you can do that, and that's awesome for power users. That's why. And the thing is, you don't have to touch it. So if you're not a power user, if you want to pick it up and play the game, the Steam Deck still does a great job. So I definitely have to say the software is just amazing. A part of the software, we've talked about before, is the suspend feature, where you can turn it off and then walk away, turn it back on, and still continue to play it. There are reports that say about 10% of the battery life in suspended mode is drained every 24 hours. So after 24 hours, you can expect the drop of 10%. So eventually, after a week plus, your Steam Deck will potentially power off. And I don't think it would save your state. Some suspension systems can save it to the hard drive and then resume it. We'll see. I haven't seen any reports on that yet. I will have to say, though, it's still awesome. It's better than anything else I've seen PC-wise. Still not better than MacBook, unless you have my MacBook, which doesn't do that very well. It doesn't. The suspended feature is just garbage. But Macs typically do it better, and so you can't say consoles do it, but Switch does it pretty decent. But I don't know. It seems like it might be about as good as Switch, because when I turn my Switch off in suspended mode and go back to it in a couple weeks, like in a week or two, usually I have to power it back on. So suspend mode is one of my it's the one that they had to do to make this portable, and they didn't quite nail it. So let's talk about it for a second. For some reviewers, and actually I go to assume that, like, most of them, and this could have been fixed by the time you get yours, if you put it to sleep and then resume it, or even, well, actually, yeah, so that will work typically pretty good, right? If you put it to sleep and then go to try to play the same game on your PC, they claim that the syncing is supposed to be so much quicker and better, but oftentimes you have to go back to the Switch or to the Steam Deck, click it on, give it a second, click it off, and it then syncs. So it's having an issue where it's not syncing when it's being suspended, and that can be tweaked. It's going to make it probably so the suspension takes longer to happen, but it's totally fixable. Also depends, I'm sure, if you have internet or not. So also be wary of that, which sounds like no Wi-Fi issues, no internet issues that are out there. So that's always good to hear. So yeah, setting custom artwork also seemed to not work in the Steam UI. So you can, with any game you have, even third party, non-Steam games, you can customize the artwork. Right now, there's a bug you can't. It's probably going to be fixed in the next month or two. In fact, that's probably a really easy bug to fix. They have so much that they're trying to accomplish right now. And this is a very lofty goal. So even though they've gotten it to this point, it's amazing. And I'm a little disappointed in the reviewers that kind of just dogged on it a little bit too much for who Valve is, what the Steam Deck is, and what they were able to accomplish that no other company's been able to accomplish in this type of realm, which is it's a PC. It runs. It will literally, once Windows is working, which is another topic we need to talk about, it will run anything. It will literally run almost about anything. Maybe Mac games, maybe not. Though it's Unix based, but not Linux. So, and that's rough even now. I don't even know if MacBook is that Unix anymore. So, software great. Desktop wise, Valve locked the permissions, so there's some things when you go into desktop mode. So Linux has package managers. You can think of it like the MacBook Store, I believe is like the App Store for the Mac, or the Windows Store on Windows, or just downloading stuff from the browser. Linux has a package manager, and each flavor has different package managers and all that. But they locked down the permissions, and Valve's going to be able to make it so you can unlock those permissions, so you can install anything. But I think that was pretty wise to lock down the permissions, because for regular people that want to install like Netflix, maybe, I don't know if there is a Netflix Linux version, and that might be a Wine thing. There's a couple of compatibility things that still aren't answered for me, but good idea. I think Valve did a good idea. I think some people might be a little upset by that, but they're going to allow you to unlock it in the near future. And then I watched Linus do the voice chat and all that with the device. It sounded just as good as it did on Discord for the most part. And so if you're playing multiplayer games, let's say Left 4 Dead 2, talking to your friends, and you don't need headphones, I believe, to make it still a great experience to talk to someone while playing multiplayer. And I love that. I love that. So on the go, if I want to play something real quick like Left 4 Dead with some friends, I can play it, talk, and not have to use headphones. So as long as I'm not bothering anyone else, I guess. Accessories. I think there's going to be so many accessories for this. And I think at least a couple of the reviewers agree. There are going to be so many reviewers that are reviewers. There are a lot of reviewers, but there's so many accessories that I think we're going to see a gold mine there. So if you're an accessory manufacturer or someone that wants to get into that, which that sounds like a very hard field to get into, start it now, because I really think the Steam Deck is going to be just killer with this. I already know that there's a couple accessories I want. One of them being, a case that is a kickstand, and the kill switch does look awesome. I can't guarantee that I'm going to love it, but I do have a reservation for it. That's one that's already started. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I can definitely say that accessories are going to be sick. Keyboard and mouse do work. That's an accessory. You can plug them in. You can play, I believe, I don't know if I read anyone playing like FPS that way, but it definitely should work. I believe all the inputs are accepted, including mouse and keyboard on this. So if you have a desktop setup, which I want to do a video on this one day, where I just run my Steam Deck for my main and just plug it in, go into, my desktop, program away, and then play some games on the side and just see how it works from a purely desktop standpoint with the accessories, because I could plug in external hard drives and stuff like that. Now, that being said, and another, like, adding memory to it, seemed mixed a little bit. Like, no one complained about it too much, but there was one complaint with the SanDisk Extreme, which is one of the cards I recommend, and I'm still going to recommend it, but it says it has 90 megabytes per second write speeds, when in playing it seemed more like 45 megabytes per second write, which is still better than the Plexar Play that I recommend, which is tested 30 megabytes per second, not what they claim. We'll see, and at times it did seem frustrating to have that lower write, and I get it, but you got to remember the limitations of a device like this. That's what we're going to have, and hopefully this will push innovations in the SD card world. Hopefully in the future we'll have faster writes and reads, to be honest, with the SD cards. But it's what we have, and it works pretty dang good, actually. That's one thing I've noticed, that people really seem to think that, like, the SD card's not bad. It's actually very playable, and it further solidifies my opinion that you really shouldn't upgrade the NVMe, and you should really try to go with SD cards as much as possible. And then I think the sweet spot is getting that 256 gigabyte Steam Deck, as opposed to the 64 or the 512 I'll probably still end up with a 512. I've heard that the anti-glare screen from one of the reviews it's amazing. So it actually, like, because it will typically dim it, and maybe that's where one of the other reviewers didn't realize is that maybe they had the anti-glare version and it did dim the brightness and the vibrance of it. But that always happens with anti-glare. Maybe they fixed that. I don't know if you can fix that with that type of tech, but just be wary of that, I guess. Games, a ton. Not all of them played out of the box, but they have a pretty big lineup. They have over 500 games that are verified. Well, that's verified, I believe, in Platinum, or at least like badged to work on the Steam Deck. They have over 700 games now verified, and that's just going to grow. I don't know what it's going to be like. Maybe they'll have every single game. I doubt it, because here's the thing. They're only going to be covering games that are that people want to play. So popularity is going to take a big key decision-making portion of whether or not a game is going to be supported, as it should be. If it's more popular, it should be covered first. I want to see some like lesser popular games be covered, of course, be fixed and make sure they run. But it's amazing that we're going to be getting, this is going to last for decades, I believe. This initiative is going to make it so that Linux potentially might be the main operating system for a lot of people in the near future. I might even switch back over to it. I like Windows. I like Linux. I like trying new things. So if they can get it even higher and make it so I can play on any Linux flavor and then not have to use SteamOS, but if I have to use SteamOS, then I'll give it a try. It'll be fun. Be a fun experience. Once they release SteamOS 3 for desktop, then I will give it a try. They haven't released it yet. They do plan on releasing it open source. It's not open source, but they plan on you to download it, that you can download it for free. So games, once again, it's a mixed bag on that, but like for the most part, it's the greatest lineup. You're gonna have so many more options than any other console release. And I only say that this is a console release because it is a very controlled experience out of the box, and then you can customize it. So it's like a console had babies with a PC, and that's pretty much what this is. And the lineup is amazing. You're gonna be able to play eventually almost every game that's been ever conceived by man, and I think that's so cool. Other points, it doesn't even make sense to call them competitors with the Steam Deck or with the Switch or with the other with the other portable PCs, right? So there's Ionia and some other ones. I think that's how you say that. They don't even compete. This one blows it out of the water performance wise and price wise, and it sucks because I just feel bad for companies that might fail, and they might fail. We'll see, because I think they'll do fine for like the first year, maybe two, depending on how hard it is to get a Steam Deck, because there's still going to be people that don't want to wait and get those instead. I'm going to wait for the Steam Deck. I want an experience like this. I like the other devices. I like the concept of them. They never appealed to me to buy because it's just the experience didn't seem fluid enough on the go for me. Dual booting is not ready yet. GPU drivers are not ready for the Windows machine, and so we're gonna have to wait before you can install Windows on this because the GPU drivers aren't ready. I believe even Wi-Fi adapter drivers are not ready either. So the Wi-Fi drivers are not quite ready for this type of, I believe it's the APU partially that's causing this. And so I believe that's on AMD to get to them. So we'll see. I do know that they've talked about dual booting in the past, so I think it's going to be a thing. I don't think they're just going to drop the ball and not like, oh, well, in the end, we're just not going to even try to support Windows. I think they want to they want to make sure it's at least it can load up and runs decent enough. But their main, the main point of this is SteamOS and being highly optimized to be an experience that they want everyone to have. I agree with the Steam with what they're doing, to be honest. And I probably will dual boot just because there's gonna be games that I'm gonna want to play that are Epic based or whatnot. I will say I'm gonna try to stick into the Steam world as much as possible because their experience is amazing, and I think every company out there needs to either work with Valve to be supported on the Steam device, and maybe, and even if it's not to like, on Steam, if you want to play fair on this kind of, reduce maybe for like other launchers, like how much you, if they're on there, like reduce it to only like 2 or 3% cut, you might be able to get them over, maybe. So we'll see with that. That's it really is. It just, yeah. Also, Bloomberg mentioned, and this is kind of cool, Valve Steam Deck is a game system built for frenzied parents. And I agree. I'm a frenzied parent. I have 2 little ones, and this is going to be a lifesaver for me when they are playing around and I get they're distracted. They don't want to play with me, or they pass out and I need to watch them. I can play on the go. Love it. 10 out of 10. One of the reasons I want this is because I play on the go more because of my kids. Emulation works really well. All the reports are saying emulation works amazing, except for Switch emulation, which works pretty decent. That being said, we'll see how decent, I guess, in the near future, if that will be, optimized down into like an amazing experience. But you got to remember that the Switch, like, emulations come a long way too, because I feel like you could only emulate like 2 generations back on PCs and stuff like that. If the Steam Deck can emulate Switch like really good in the near future, that'd be pretty awesome, because that, I would consider that maybe like 1 generation back, but on a handheld device, that's pretty amazing. So, and that's why I say you're going to be able to play about every game made by man on this thing. There's going to be some exceptions, and maybe we're going to have to wait until Steam Deck 2 for maybe that fully to be realized. But like, it's if you want to, I'm sure there's a way to get it to work. So let's go into, and I'm going to do another video, by the way, on the emulation stuff. I really find that fascinating. I'm going to have like some guides. I won't have a Steam Deck for a while, so I'll try to come at it from a different angle, because I can't just emulate and let you know. I'll have to look it up and do research. So let's get into the verdicts real quick. That's what we're all waiting for. PC Gamer gave it an 85, and they liked it quite a bit. They said it needed some work, obviously. And that's what they all kind of said. Like, it's almost perfect, but it's not. Maybe they didn't say almost perfect, but they loved it. It just had some downsides to them. Verge, really surprising on this one. They gave it a 6.5 out of 10, but the Verge can be a little bit shocky when it comes to their takes on things. They enjoyed it, but thought it was a mess. And after reading their review and other reviews, I really think they're wrong. I think they just wanted to be negative on this to get the press on it. That's my opinion on it. I really don't believe this, and I actually really, I'm a little bit against their review, and that's their opinion, of course. But after reading through it, they loved it, but they didn't like it, or they didn't think it was good enough for like the mainstream person. And I fully disagree. After watching a lot of videos, I think it's really easy for most people to play. It's very instructive to say, hey, these are the games that work. It's labeled, it has badges, what's supported, and those games do work on the device. So maybe, I know that some of the software features that they wanted to use didn't work really well, but those were like the super extra power user ones. Doesn't matter for the common person. So I don't get where they were going at with their review. Polygon likes it a lot. They didn't have like a number system for it, but they really did quite like it, and they thought it was maybe for like really simple gamers that are on the go, the Switch might be better, but for everyone else, they do think this is the perfect portable gaming device. Tom's Hardware gave it a 4 out of 5. The Steam Deck needs some time to mature, but it's comfortable portable gaming machine. Once again, it's coming up Millhouse-esque kind of thing. Like, it's coming up pretty good for everyone, but there's that, blue-haired exception to the whole thing where they didn't give it perfect. I was expecting 90, let's say around 9. Well, 90s are really big for PC Gamer, actually. They don't give into the 90s very often, but it's unfortunate for a device that's going to see drastic changes within the next year. I almost can guarantee that what it is today is going to be drastically different in a year, and I hope they update the reviews for that. I'm fine with them giving lackluster at times. 4 out of 5 is not bad, but this is a very, very game-changing device, and that score is going to change in the next few months. I feel it, and we'll see if they update accordingly, because else I think they're just going to not do it justice. Yes, could have Valve waited? I agree, but at the same time, do you want to wait for your Steam Deck? I don't. I would have liked it a month ago, 2 months ago, before the software was ready. I would have loved it. They could have at least given it, an option to get it early. I was like, do you want it when it's fully ready or now? And I would have gone with now, but I'm a power user, so I know how to get through that stuff. Okay, so that comes from 4 different reviews, publications, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to give you my virgin hands verdict, meaning I've never touched a Steam Deck. Maybe one day I will. Maybe I will talk with Valve when I become a big YouTuber, which, lofty dreams or whatever it is. I wish I could have one in my hand. I wish I was doing this sooner, to where maybe, I could have. I don't know. That's very lofty of me to say that, the channel would be amazing. I hope it is. I like it. I like chatting with you guys and talking about stuff I love. I love video games. I love tech. This is like the melding of the two. So I will have to say it beats any other console handheld right now, hands down. It's just, you have more games, you have more options, and it's just an all around easier to play device on the go. With hands, with the form factor. It's not as portable, obviously, and so we're going to wait until... I know that some people really liked it on the go, and if you have a special pouch or if you carry a backpack, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I don't get why people think that this is so much less portable than the Switch, when I don't pocket my Switch. I know some people do, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't pocket my Switch. It's just too bulky to fit in my pockets, and I wouldn't want to walk around with a big Switch in my pocket and saying, hey, I'm happy. Can you tell I'm happy to see you, kind of jokes. Okay, this is my takeaway, my verdict, like my final points of this. There is no subscription fee. So that's a big one. Nintendo is screwing themselves over right now by putting fees upon fees upon fees. I have the yearly subscription, so you can play games online and unlock a couple, I think you unlock some games, I can't remember, but then you have to play like additional N64 games. You have to pay an additional subscription fee. That's yearly. It's not like this is a one-time fee. If you want to play N64 games, you have to pay every year. And I can't fathom. It's not like it's a service that it's streaming out to them. I believe you can play it. It's actually running on your device, that they're charging that. With this, cuts that out. No matter how you feel on emulating games, old games and all that, if you own it, I'm all for it. I know it's a gray area, but if you own it, you should have the right to continue playing it in that form. If there's a remake, then yeah, if you download the remake and play it that way, then it's a new game in my eyes. But if you're playing the originals emulated, go for it. And that's my second point, is emulating games. I'm gonna play so many games on this that I have, that I just like. I have so many PlayStation 2 games. I have so many different types of RPGs. First-person shooters, we'll see how I'm never a controller guy with FPS, but I think it'll be fun to try that out with this. But yeah, it's a PC in your hands is my third point. Game mods, hardware mods, and the desktop for work. So it's a PC, it's a console, but then when you need it to be a PC for like modding your games and hardware, you can do that. That's what's so cool. Yeah, you can't really I don't think you'd be able to replace the APU, but hardware wise, you might be able to cut out the back, put in a bigger battery, whatever it is, you can do it. That's the cool thing about PCs and Valve, especially with this. They're kind of like giving you the okay to modify things. But game mods are big. Playing Skyrim, and I guess with this form factor, you got to be a little careful with that performance. But for a lot of games, you can mod them, and that might be new to console players. So if you're coming from the console, congratulations, you just got an upgrade, just because you can install so many amazing mods on your new console. Okay, so most of the games run fine on the SD. That's my fifth point. My fourth point is that, once again, my prediction was correct, and what they were saying, most games will run fine on the SD card. Stick with that for now. Don't try to upgrade your device and like the inside memory unless you really want to. It actually didn't look like it was that difficult. You just take out the back, plug in a new stick. It does seem like they spent a lot of time making sure there was zero issues with the heating, with latency, with power and battery performance. And so just be a little cautious when you're doing that. But once again, if you want to do it, go for it. I just want to make sure that the people that are a little less inclined to do that type of thing don't feel pressured that that is the only way to upgrade their storage. So the last point, and this is the point that a lot of these reviews made too, is that it's going to be hard to find. It shouldn't be a reason to dock it, like to knock it. That is, like, it shouldn't be a reason to say this is bad or give it a bad score, because you like, that was one of the negatives from, like, I believe Tom's Hardware was you won't be able to find it for months. Like, that's a supply issue, you know. That's not really on Valve as much. I guess they could have created it and waited in 6 months and then gave it to everyone. Maybe they could have done that, but I think they wanted to trickle it out and get the ones that were most excited, get it into their hands, and then fix the software along the way. It's a little bit of a tactical move, in my opinion. You're gonna get a little bit buggier of a device, software wise, the sooner you get this. But for the people, like, for how good it is now, I think most people that are getting it day one won't have any issues. And if you do, you can sell it to me. I won't pay extra for it. I don't like scalpers, but I will pay base price for it if you want to sell it to me. So that being said, that's it. This has been a really long video. It's been like, the reviews were really long to dig through. I just wanted to hit a lot of different points on the Steam Deck, and that it really does look like an amazing device. It's a game changer, and it's going to be something I'm going to be doing content for months and hopefully years. I just hope I can get a deck sooner into my hands so I can do continuous reviews. I want to run this in desktop mode and do all my business from it. I want to do run emulators. I want to run like an emulation system on the TV over there with N64 controllers and all that stuff. I want to try every single thing possible with this that I can, and that's why I'm getting 2 devices. One of the reasons, well, one of them is for someone else, so hopefully I don't break it for them, but so maybe I need to get 3 devices. I want to do a couple of risky things with it too, like, downloading pirated software, viruses, see if I can just no, but really it would be interesting to see. Linux is getting more viruses, so I doubt this would be very susceptible to it, but that would be an interesting take too. So that being said, before I drone on any more, this has been long enough. I'm going to give another little nod to, if you made it this far, to like the video. If you didn't like it, you can dislike it, or you can let me know in the comments in a nice way, and we can have a conversation about it and what I can improve in the future. Make sure to subscribe and bash that bell with your crowbar. And before we leave, make sure you check out the other videos above for more Steam Deck stuff and amazing gaming stuff, I guess. I don't guess, I hope. But that's it. Peace out, guys. Later.